Dover Castle, one of England's most haunted places. The first record of a castle existing at Dover can be dated back to 1100 AD, built by Henry I to act as a defense against a potential French invasion. Throughout the following centuries, the castle saw many sieges and battles, but was never successfully captured. The castle would go on to have many uses over the years, including being used as a prison, and then later a garrison for troops. Thomas Bridges was born in Kent in 1528, and when he was just 17 years old, he took up a position as an usher at Dover Castle. In fact, it's estimated that hundreds of people died here, while it was used as a prison, with most of those deaths being caused by disease. There are said to be thousands of bodies buried beneath the castle, and one of those people is Anne Boleyn's lady-in-waiting, Elizabeth Wilford. Seldeth was born in Devon in 1526, and was the daughter of a yeoman of the royal wardrobe. No one is really sure how the disease started, but once it reached the castle, there was nowhere for the sick to go. They were crammed into cells together and given little food or water, making the illness spread even faster. The castle is open all year round, except for a few days in January and December, so you can choose when to visit whenever suits you best. However, if you want to see the castle at its spookiest, then perhaps you should plan your trip for October, as every year the castle hosts a Halloween event. And if you're brave enough to visit then, you may be able to communicate with the spirits of Elizabeth Wilford, Joseph, and everyone else who died here. Of course, this led to many deaths, and the smell of rotting corpses began to fill the castle. Eventually, the castle officials realized that something had to be done, and so the prisoners were moved into purpose-built sheds outside of the castle. Unfortunately, this made no difference, and soon hundreds of townspeople and soldiers alike had died. To stop the disease spreading further, the castle was quarantined, and no one was allowed to come in or leave. The quarantine lasted 3 months, and by the end, it's estimated that half of Dover's population had died. It's believed that the spirits of these people could still be haunting the castle today, and may be responsible for the strange smells that have been reported here. As a young woman, she became one of Anne Boleyn's ladies-in-waiting. For example, during the 16th century, it was occupied by Sir Thomas Bridges and his family. Thomas Bridges was appointed constable of Dover Castle in 1534, and it was his responsibility to make sure the castle was properly maintained. He oversaw several renovation projects, including turning the Great Hall into a residential space. He and his family lived here for the rest of his life, until he was evicted in 1554 for refusing to pay rent. But before that, he and his family had made some alterations to the castle that would change it forever. During the 18th century, it was occupied by General James Oglethorpe. Oglethorpe was a general in the British Army, but is probably best known for founding the colony of Georgia. He lived in the castle with his wife and 7 children, and although they were given permission to make changes to the castle, this didn't really happen until after. Oglethorpe died in 1705. His widow and children then began making changes to the interior and adapted it to be a more suitable family home. Fortunately, their tenancy didn't last long, and in 1707, the castle was seized by the crown and became a garrison for troops. Since then, the castle hasn't really been used as a home again, but it's believed that the ghosts of those who lived here may still be roaming the corridors. And when Anne lost favor with King Henry VIII, she was accused of sleeping with her mistress's former suitor, the Duke of Norfolk. Although the accusations were false, Elizabeth didn't deny them and was found guilty. She was sentenced to death, but due to her social status, wasn't executed, instead being imprisoned in Dover Castle, where she died the following year. Her remains are said to be buried somewhere beneath the castle, and some say her ghost can be seen wandering around the top of the castle walls. In his time there, he made himself unpopular with the other staff members because he was nosy and liked to spy on people. Anne Wharton was the wife of Sir Richard Wharton, who was given the task of building a new gunpowder storehouse in the castle. During the Second World War, it was used as a detention center for enemy aliens. These were people living in Britain who were of a certain nationality when war broke out. The government feared these people may be a threat to Britain, so they were taken from their homes and held in camps across the country. A lot of these people hadn't actually done anything wrong, and so it was hoped that if they were kept in comfortable surroundings, they would see the error of their ways and become loyal to the British Crown. But unfortunately, this wasn't always the case, and many of those held in Dover Castle refused to cooperate. These people were often only allowed outside their rooms with the guard's permission, and were forbidden from talking to each other or the guards. If they did, they would be severely punished and sent to one of the other camps. One of these prisoners was Joseph, appeared to take his own life in the castle, and is said to be haunting the place still. Many witnesses have reported seeing a man hanging in the courtyard, which is believed to be him. Others have even managed to capture photos of strange figures standing in the same area. Some believe that his ghost is trying to warn people about the conditions inside the castle during this time and the horrors that other prisoners faced. Work began in 1678, but it was soon discovered that there weren't enough materials to complete it, so the project was halted. Soon after, Richard was ordered by King Charles II to demolish the building and use its materials elsewhere. While doing this, part of the wall collapsed and killed him instantly. His widow Anne was distraught, but like Elizabeth Wilford, she didn't have much time to grieve. Just months later, she was accused of treason and was imprisoned in the castle, never to be seen again. Some believe she was executed, but others think she died of a broken heart and was buried beneath the castle walls. He was also said to be something of a ladies' man and would regularly flirt with the wives of the senior staff members. This was seen as highly inappropriate, especially since he was an usher and outranked them. And so it came as no surprise when he was arrested for seducing one of the servants, while her husband was away on a mission. At the time, this was obviously very scandalous, and so his fellow staff members wanted him punished. However, the castle officials turned a blind eye to his actions and did nothing about it. This, of course, only made his fellow staff members more angry, and they all signed a letter to the king telling him what Bridges had done. Exactly what happened next isn't known, but there's a few different accounts. One says that Bridges was called to court and banished from the kingdom. Another says that he was locked in one of the castle cells until the king decided what to do with him. But both agreed that he was never seen again. Some believe that he may have been put to death, but there's no records of any executions around this time. It's believed that Bridges could be haunting the castle today, along with his lovers. And it's rumored that their apparitions sometimes appear in the gardens. It is now open to the public as a tourist attraction with a visitor center, cafe, and gift shop, and it's also still used by the military, housing some of the Ministry of Defense's offices. So let's take a look at some of the ghosts that are said to haunt Dover Castle. The first ghost we're going to look at is that of Sir Thomas Bridges. Sir Thomas Bridges was by no means the only person to die within the castle walls. Another ghost who may have died within the castle walls is Lady Anne Wharton. Dover Castle wasn't just used as a prison for people accused of crimes or disloyal subjects. One of the biggest periods of death within the castle occurred in 1348, when the Black Death swept through the town of Dover and claimed hundreds of lives. While Dover Castle has been mostly used as a prison throughout history, it has also acted as a home for many families. If you want to visit Dover Castle and see for yourself if the ghosts are real, then I've got some good news for you. Thanks for watching.